Okay, if you want to view constraints, you're going to view constraints from the user underscore constraints table. Now you could select asterisk from user underscore constraints table, but I think you're going to get a large amount of data. I'm not sure. I seem to remember that you're going to get much more than these here. But you can select, just as if you're selecting it from a table. This user constraints is a systems or administrative type table that is created for the database management system once constraints are created. We haven't discussed using conditions in our queries. That's why we would use the where clause. We did discuss that the where clause was an optional clause in a query or select statement. Here's where you can select constraints from the user underscore constraints table and narrow it down to constraints on the equip table. Again, I'm going to move the page number so you can see the results of the output, but this graphic is on page 121. The user underscore cons columns table, again, one of those systems tables. It's not a table that you create. It displays constraint listings by column. You can disable and enable constraints using the alter table command. Page 122 shows the syntax diagrams for this. Now you would want to disable a constraint because you want to do some sort of maintenance on the table, and maybe that particular maintenance is prevented because of constraints. So you would disable the constraint, do whatever it is you need to do, and then re-enable the constraint when you're finished. If you want to drop constraints because a constraint cannot be modified, if you want to change your constraint, excuse me, if we go back to that rating field on the equip table, our check constraint only included ratings of A, B, or C. If you wanted to change your rating system to add A, B, C, or D, or some other type system, then you would have to drop the check constraint and then add a new one that provided at different values. The actual syntax depends on the type of constraint. Primary key, you just list the type of constraint. So in other words, if you want to drop the constraint, you simply drop primary key, and then the unique key constraint, you must, if you want to drop a unique key constraint, you have to include the column name. And then again, all others, you simply reference the constraint name. Here's the syntax diagram, and it's on page 124. Here's an example of dropping the check constraint for that rating field from the equip table. Here's an example where you try to drop a constraint and it results in an error. And I'm guessing, I'll move the page number here, but this graphic is on page 125. The alter table statement resulted in an error, probably because there's other records in other fields that rely on the customer number field. In other words, the primary key of the customer's table is that customer number, and it says this unique primary key is referenced by some foreign keys. So if you drop the primary key field from the customer's table, then your database loses its integrity. So you'd probably want to delete the records or drop the records that exist for the customers in the foreign key table. Again, probably not something you would want to do in the real if you're going to drop a primary key constraint from a table because you want to use a different field, or for some reason, it's probably something where you totally need to redesign your database. Going to be something a little bit more complicated than simply dropping and changing the primary key field for a table. Okay, again, I'm not going to read through all of the summaries. This is where you can pause the video if you'd like to read through these summary bullets, or again, you can retrieve the actual PowerPoint file from our Desire to Learn course content page. Thank you.